I knew I liked sales, but I hated what I was selling. Stuff that I think they saw in me on it was I was never the greatest, I was never the best at anything, but I outworked everyone. I would make sure I had the most dials. People get very rigid with like a script or things like that. You need to be able to speak to the person in front of you. That's the important part.
100%.
It's like if
Yeah.
you like, it's not that you need to change it every time because that doesn't work, but you need to be able to adapt it every time. So that kind of taught me, hey, if you want to, it's easy to get to the top, but if you want to stay at the top, you gotta be the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah.
I started to get a much bigger buzz out of them doing better than I got out of closing deals. So if your
It's a different
motivation
beast.
is if your sole driver is I want my number, leadership's not the role that you will enjoy. If you are doing something because you want to do it, you will be successful. If you're doing something because you don't want to do this anymore, you're just not going to be very good at that either. And I'm pretty active on LinkedIn at putting my number out there, being like, if you think you can do it, like, give me a call, pick up the phone and show it to me. So
That's the challenging
that's
part too.
yeah, I think that's almost become my like red flag. If people are too perfect and too like this sounds, like too polished. There's not enough
Hmm.
human here because in an interview, I'm probably going to see you at your best. I want to see a few of the cracks. A lot of people think it's not okay to be casual in an interview, and it is. We're not doctors. We're not like what we do is easy. It's not easy, but it's simple. Like no, you're not. Nobody's dying because you mess up a phone call. Nobody's doing, like it's a completely learned skill, so anyone can do it. I wish I gave a shit more earlier. I think that was that's the key side of it. I was a late starter. I was probably like 28 before I started going, okay, I can do something here. I went to a fintech company because the paycheck was really big, and then I realized I hate talking finance, and it was that was the
Yeah.
most torturous job that I've ever had. Well, best paid, but I hated it every single day.
Yeah.
So like there's tech is broken up into a million different subcategories. Pick a category that you do not mind to talking about because that's going to be your job.
Welcome back to Prospecting Pros, and on today's show we have Matt Bastin. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for connecting originally on LinkedIn. Here we are having our first conversation, but a lot of things we discuss on this podcast is about SDRs, lead generation, management, and you have a bunch of experience. So I wanted to get you on to talk through your experience and how you got to where you are today. So take us back. That's how I like to start every episode. Is take us back. Like, how did you get your career started in the SDR world, and walk us through some of those roles you had over time and how you ultimately got to where you are today.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, our first conversation recorded. No, no pressure. Um, yeah, so I guess I got into sales back in Ireland. I was selling insurance at home, and I hated it. It was an easy sell. Insurance is like a legal requirement, so you were going to buy it, just whether it was from me or someone else. But I hated it. I knew I liked sales, but I hated what I was selling. And a few friends of mine had made the move over to Canada, into the tech world. Dublin at the time wasn't the tech scene it is now. So I jumped on a flight strictly to get into the tech world. Um, 2016, it was a lot easier to get in than it is now. But I started off as a BDR at a company called CrowdRiff, which is like a tourism software. They help destination organizations generate user-generated content. So you go on a hike to BC and you're snapping pictures, putting it on Instagram. Destination BC can use your content in their marketing. So it was a fun product to get my hands into. Um, from there, I mean, I will say the first few months, I probably didn't have the right mindset. It was very much like this is a job that'll give me money to go enjoy my weekends. But I credit a lot of the mindset change that I had to one of the other BDRs at the time, a guy called Jason Pinto. He was the top performer. I saw everyone look at him like in awe of what he was doing. I was like, I can do that. So he became my competition, my best mate in the company, and I very quickly became a top performer just by chasing him. Um, then the goal was always AE, sell big ticket items to close revenue and do all that amazing stuff. I finally got it, and then I hated it. Sat down with my AE manager and asked, like, is this is this what being an AE is like? We talked about what my future would look like, and they said that you're really good with the BDRs. Maybe take a step back and go work with them. So I found my first leadership position with a company called Cambridge Brain Sciences, and kind of haven't looked back. I've been with four companies in leadership roles. It was all outbound up until 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, where I am now. Now I help run, like I said, there's three managers and then one senior manager who runs the inbound department, and we manage a team of nearly 30 reps.
It's a lot. That's a lot.
It can get a lot.
Um, well, take me back. You're talking about the you were an SDR at CrowdRiff, and then you got promoted to AE. Like, what did leadership see in you to go that direction?
So
And
yeah, I was actually in so I don't know, a place called Video. We were all about to my cohort, let's say, was about to, we're told we were about to get promoted, CrowdRiff, but pandemic hits. We were a tourism software. We were one of the first guys to go. So I made a jump over to Video with telehealth. So even that first year, easy selling because everyone had to be on telehealth. But stuff that I think they saw in me on it was I was never the I was never the greatest, like I was never the best at anything, but I outworked everyone. Um,
mm,
I would make sure I had the most dials. I made sure that I made sure my metrics were like followed up with it. Um, and always agile. I think that was one thing. People get very rigid with like a script or things like that. You need to be able to speak to the person in front of you. That's the important part.
100%.
It's like if
Yeah.
you like, it's not that you need to change it every time because that doesn't work, but you need to be able to adapt it every time. You need to be able to, okay, like read the room. This part isn't working. I need to, like, they obviously don't care about this. I need to pick up something here. So I think the listening part and then just being the one who's willing to outwork the rest are the two things that kind of help me rise.
And where do you think that work ethic came from? Is that something you learned on the job, or is something from the past, like a particular sport or some other experience?
Um, I played a lot of rugby as a kid, and I think for when I started out, I was, I made teams quite easily because I didn't have to work too hard to get on it. Um, as things got more serious and people started to work harder to get better, people started to surpass me, and I really didn't like that. So that kind of taught me, hey, if you want to, it's easy to get to the top, but if you want to stay at the top, you gotta be the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah. So you've
Um,
got that a little bit of a competitive edge to you, which
yeah,
suits most salespeople.
yeah, I
Uh,
think it's competitive, but it needs to be fun. I think that's the side of it. It's not like, yeah, you're never trying to pull anyone down to get on top. You just want to gonna climb up.
yeah. When you were talking about one of the jobs where you came in and you had a mindset shift, and there was a guy that you were looking up to and made friends with who was um, I forget I heard the name
J,
last name
J,
Pinto comes.
yeah, JP, Jason Pinto.
Um, what popped in my head when you were talking about that was like, I'm a Warriors fan, so if you're Steph Curry, and a lot of people
Mm,
talk about joining the team and they're good, right? They're in the NBA, but then you watch Steph work and his work ethic and how good he is and how humble he is, and it's like like a lot of people talk about it. It made them work harder in the gym, whether it's shooting or weights. And that's kind of what popped in my head when you were talking about you come in, you're good, and you see this other guy, he's probably outworking everybody, he's probably out earning everybody, and it's like, oh wow, I see what needs to be done to get there, whether it's financially or just leveling up your skills. Is that kind of what is that paint like a clear picture on how it actually happened?
yeah, I think I pinned him down to the mind shift from like this being like sales was always. the job. This is what I was going to do until I found whatever my calling was going to be. And watching him work and like the, for the lack of it, not to sound too cheesy, but like the joy he took from his work, from doing nothing other than cold calling people. You know what I mean? It's not like,
Mm.
but he enjoyed doing it. That's what changed it from like, hey, this doesn't have to be just a job. This can be a career. I can make something out of this and be successful. And then putting the target on his back to being like, now I have my goal, which is to get ahead of this guy.
I think the joy goes a long way because it comes across whether it's through the phone or you're in person, depending on the role. Um, but one of the best things when you're cold calling is cracking a few jokes, right? Making fun of
Mm.
something, or they they bring up something that most people might get defensive on, like, oh, where'd you get my number? But you make a joke out of it, you usually get over it, and people start to open up a little bit more and actually start having a conversation, and their guards start to drop. And I think that goes a long way. That's at least in my experience and the SDRs I watch. Those are the ones that are most successful because they're getting people to drop their guard.
Yeah, I think that's like a golden rule I tell new reps when they join the team is like, if you're funny, be funny. If you're
Mm-hmm.
like what is that, like what's that unique thing that you can bring to a call? Don't just be like the monotone, hey, I'm calling because you're on a list and this is my pitch. Doesn't always have to be a joke. It doesn't, like, you could just be an interesting person and
Yeah,
get it
be
that
human.
way. Yeah, I think like I can't remember who ran the training, but I remember training years and years ago I took on cold calling. And it was like the golden rule is be interested and be interesting. You need to take an
Mm-hmm.
interest in them, and you need to be a person that they want to speak to. And they don't get that
100%.
when you're monotone. Just,
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling you because we help optimize when, like, you need to have a bit of character behind it.
Yeah, yeah. Those are I like that line. Be interested and interesting. Um, so you said currently you're managing 30 SDR. Your team, right? There's a few SDR managers. Is that right?
Yeah, so we have I think right now we're probably at 28. Soon to be back to 30, and then each team we have three teams varying between 8 to 10 people.
So how did you go from you decided selling being an AE wasn't for you? How did you go into leadership, and how did you know that was the route you wanted to go down, and that was what I guess suited you better?
So it was more so when I was an AE, my manager at the time said, like, you have two BDRs in your territory. Like, if you think that you might want to get into leadership, this is a really good trial. It's like they have a manager, but you can be the coach. You can get involved. And it was watching that, like, they were by no means new. Like, they had experience, they were good, but helping them, like starting to listen to their calls and providing more feedback after I spoke to, like, after I ran a demo and like, here's how we could have made this call a bit better or doing this. I started to get a much bigger buzz out of them doing better than I got out of closing deals.
Mm.
And that was when I was like, okay, maybe this is no longer like, my goals changed. It's like the thing that I thought I wanted, and maybe it was timing. Like I said, we were selling telehealth just as the pandemic was starting, so like it wasn't hard. It wasn't the thing, like people were coming in with orders, being, hey, look, we need this. And maybe that goes back to like why I didn't like insurance, where it was like legally you have to buy something. Like, it's just, is my price going to beat that kind of price? And it failed. So maybe if I became an A at a different time, I would have loved it. It was not what I was expecting it to be. It was not the enjoyment I got out of it. Um, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of working with the two BDRs on my team, and that
Mm.
kind of changed my whole perspective on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to get into SDR management. They are an SDR, or they are typically it's an SDR, and they think they want to go into sales, or they think they want to go into being a manager, but they don't realize the other parts that come along with it, such as you're gonna have this person that uh, all the issues outside of work you essentially need to help them with, and kind of uh, be a part-time therapist in a sense, like
Yeah.
if you hear them out, but also get back to, hey, this is why you want to save up for that next house, and this is how get them back on track essentially. But there's a lot of therapy that goes on outside of it, and it's you have to put others before yourself when you're,
100%.
especially when you're managing that many people. It's different when you're managing one or two SDRs, but when you manage a group, it's really that you got to put them before you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think, especially when they're coming in, when they're brand new to like the work, like the tech sales is broken up into so many different jobs that like you don't when you first come in, you don't know half of the ones that are there. Um, but people think that like the path is SDR or BDR, AE, and then manager, and that's how your career path's supposed to go. Um, and it doesn't have to be. I think like a lot of people don't think about as a manager, you give up control a lot on like on your quota. It's very easy
Mhm.
if you're one person being like, I'm gonna make sure my number's here. When you are needing 8 people to hit their quota to get to your quota, that becomes like so. If your
It's a different
motivation
beast.
is if your sole driver is I want my number, leadership's not the role that you will enjoy. Um, but I think a big thing that I love in my role is I mentioned before I keep track of anyone who's been promoted under me. I keep a slide with them all in it. There is a ton of people on that deck that are not AEs and they are not managers. They are in operations. They are in product. They are in all these things that like when they first get into SDR, you probably never thought of. But at 𝐶𝐨𝐧'𝐭, one thing that we run, a colleague of mine, John McGurk, set it up, and then I've kind of taken it over. Is a process called Your Path Your Way, which is once a month we bring in someone from somewhere else in the organization. So we like recruitment, ops, rev ops, marketing, and they run a session on like their story, how they got into it, what a day in the life of their job looks like. So all these people who are in SDR or BDR who right now think, hey, can look outside the box and be like, hey,
Hmm.
maybe I hate cold calling, maybe I hate being customer facing, like all these kind of things. It gives them different options because that's a huge benefit of being in the tech space is that like it moves quickly, and you can move quickly with it, and you can make big jumps from department to department.
Yeah, I've always talked to people that are an SDR and they want to get out of it and they're not sure what they want to do. When projects come up, jump on it.
Yeah,
Even if it's even you just don't know because it's you're going to learn for yourself. Okay, do I like this? Is it depending on what the project is? But if you don't do that, you'll never know yourself. And then if you do it and if you do it well, then leadership's going to be like, oh well, when that role opens up, I want Kevin, whoever
yeah.
whoever this person is, I want him to come on and grow into the role. And that seems like a perfect transition.
This episode is sponsored by LevelUp Leads, a B2B sales development and appointment setting agency. Companies always need pipeline, but they oftentimes don't want to hire SDRs internally. The whole process is risky and expensive. You've got hiring costs, onboarding, training, additional spend on your tech stack, a few months to ramp up. And with that being said, SDRs are a high turnover position, and the person you hire might not necessarily work out, so you need to start all over again. That's why companies outsource this. LevelUp Leads allocates a team of people, their tech stack, so you can onboard and launch your campaigns in about a week. They set qualified meetings in your calendar so your team has more selling opportunities. Visit levelupleads.io today to learn more. All right, now back to the show.
We had a guy in my last company, and very hard worker, but he didn't sound great on the phone. He booked meetings, he knew his stuff, but what he was awesome at, and this was before AI became the beast that AI is, he started building all these like tools in this, and I think it was called Phantom Buster. But like
Mm.
he was scraping inboxes to find data enrichment. He was he built a thing that would help us like score our leads. So he was building all these tools to make the entire team more efficient. And I was like, you need to leave our team and go find something in like
Sales
operations or in product.
operations.
Like you are a beast waiting to be unleashed. You're just in the wrong. Like he was underperforming as an SDR as far as attainment goes. But it's just that saying if you have a fish climb a tree, he's not going to be very good at it. He's remarkable now.
Hmm. So you've promoted a lot of people over the years at different roles. You keep track of this to kind of see where they've gone in their career. What are some of the things you look for in somebody that they're ready to jump into, whether leadership or promotion? What are some of the things that stand out?
It is the same. You always see the same thing for when SDRs join the team. Well, not always, but like 90% of the time, they come in first 3 to 6 months. They are super eager. They're ready to go. By that 6 month mark, they feel they've cracked it. They're like, yeah, I'm good at it. I could be an A today. I could do this promotion, and then everything starts looking greener. Everything starts getting. So a thing that I'm very clear with on my team is that if a job opportunity comes up, and it doesn't have to be within the organization. One thing I'm very clear with my team is like if you find an opportunity outside the company that looks good and looks interesting, let's talk about it. Let's like I will do everything I can to help you move further in your career. But the caveat is if you are looking at this role because you don't want to be an SDR anymore, rather than I want to do whatever this role is, it's like that's always my big question. Because I've seen it time and time again. If you are doing something because you want to do it, you will be successful. If you're doing something because you don't want to do this anymore, you're just not going to be very good at that either. It's like
Hmm.
so I don't need like a big like this is why I want to be in marketing or this, but you need to give me a reason as to like like what is attracting you to this apart from the fact that you're not going to have to make 80 calls a day anymore.
And is there anything, I don't know if you're doing hiring currently or you run any steps of the interview process, but is there anything you look for in interviewing SDRs? Because I'll speak from experience, it's challenging. Is there any
Yeah.
type of traits or anything you look for?
So I put like we're I don't want to say we're always hiring for SDR, but we are like we try to promote every quarter. So we are usually hiring every quarter. And I'm pretty active on LinkedIn at putting my number out there, being like, if you think you can do it, like give me a call. Pick up the phone and show it to me. So that's always a big, when I get people to call me, that's a big one. It's a big risk when people call me because a lot of people call and they're like, hey, I saw that you're hiring. I want to do this. And like my caveat, anyone who's watching this and sees these posts, call with a purpose. Have a purpose for the call. It can't just be, hey, I saw this. You can tell me why you're doing it. But I think there like curiosity is a big thing. I think interviewing is and it's because the market sucks right now. It's people can interview really well. People are well rehearsed. They know what they say. They know what we want to hear. So
That's the challenging
that's
part too.
yeah, I think that's almost become my like red flag. If people are too perfect and too like this sounds, like too polished. There's not enough
Hmm.
human here because in an interview, I'm probably going to see you at your best. I want to see a few of the cracks. I want to see a bit of like the human peek out from behind the shield because that's what I'm going to see in 2 or 3 months' time. So, like we asked so like the normal interview questions, but we've got some like unique ones. A question I always ask is, tell me one thing you love and one thing you hate about sales, because I want to hear the negative side. I want to hear that like what is the part that I'm going to have to talk, where am I going to have to talk you off the ledge? What's the
Hmm.
day that it's going to be like, hey, I'm done with this. I need to know the cracks as well because that's the human side. Yeah, I try to keep my interviews pretty casual as well because I want to. A lot of people think it's not okay to be casual in an interview, and it is. We're not doctors. We're not like what we do is easy. It's not easy, but it's simple. Like no, you're not. Nobody's dying because you mess up a phone call. Nobody's doing, like it's a completely learned skill, so anyone can do it. It's just, do you have the mindset to get over the toughness of what this job is? So
Hmm.
those are the things that I'm looking for in the interview, and they can be hard to find. I haven't found the perfect process of doing that yet.
Do you ever do mock calls in the interview process? Are you a fan of that?
The last stage of our interview process is always a mock call. Um,
Hmm.
I think we do quite a good job of like laying out what we want to see. And we sell a pretty complex product as it is, so I don't really care if they know the product. Um, it's the curiosity part. Are they, if I give them a pain, are they parking the car? Are they, let me ask 10 more questions about this one thing rather than just go through? Um, I think that we've got one rep on our team who put it in a really, really good way when he's talking about role plays. It's Guy Karen. He's like, he'll never, on a real call, you'll handle a couple of objections, but if they keep pushing back, you'll go, okay, maybe today's not the day, and you'll stop. In a role play, he's like, I'll just do it all day because if we stop the role play, I'm hanging up on myself. And I think that's where like you see how far people are willing to push in a role play. Um, but yeah, I'm a big advocate of it. We use Hyperbound now for like AI
Okay.
role plays as well.
Was going to be my next question, actually.
Yeah, so we do it a lot for like we do a weekly session as a team, where we try whatever our team focuses. I try to use we have Claude as our AI, so I'll throw like everyone's transcripts for the month into that and be like, what is each individual's like two or three areas that we need to work on? Because there's only so many calls you can actually listen to.
Hmm.
So that gives me the actual trends from every call, and then I'll build a couple of bots out of that. But I think where we're seeing the biggest benefit from that is onboarding. When they come in,
100%.
we have bots built all day. So our onboarding is pretty long. They're with our enablement team for like almost a month before they're in role. So they get to knock out like nearly 100 calls before, or 100 conversations before they even pick up the phone for their first real one. Um, it's an incredible tool. Like the
Yeah, I was going to ask about it. I was like, my next question is about that. We use it too, and a lot of times I try to tell people it's like if you go to the golf course and you decide to not even stop at the driving range, you just walk straight out to the first tee and start swinging away. It's like, how did you not stop at the driving range to get some
yeah,
practice? And it's like, this is like super important, and it's like one of the best uses of AI. And for us as a company, we don't, it's not just we, since we're an agency, we have 100 different companies
products.
with 100 different ICPs and scripts. And so it's like, it's so important. And we use it in onboarding too, to get the practice rounds in, right? To get some of the kinks out and sound a little bit better. And then also it's cool to be able to come to the client and be like, hey, this came up. How do you answer that?
Yeah,
In the agency space. But for you guys, I mean, you guys can onboard people, and it's rather than having maybe 5 managers, you're able to have 3 managers and a tool that can help
yeah,
with the role playing.
yeah. Super efficient. It's incredible. I will say, like, and I know Hyperbound is the one that we use, but like, there's so many of them out there. Like, Second Body is incredible. I think Second Body is probably the best one I've used. It's really, really good. But yeah, like I think if you're interviewing, if you're trying to get an SDR job, there's tools like this out there that are free as well, or like trials. Like, go in and start practicing. Like, this is how
Hmm.
you can do it. I know one guy told me he was using the voice chat GPT one as well. Um, probably a little bit clunkier because it's not designed for that.
Yeah,
But there are
exactly.
there are ways of doing it. If you're not, like you said, it's one of the best uses for AI. Um, if you're not doing that, you're probably being left behind.
Yeah, and some of the dialers even have it built in, like Trellis has it built in, so you can actually practice in the dialer. We use Orem, but I just know Trellis has it built in. We've talked to them about it. Matt, I'm curious. So you're managing a bunch of SDRs. You've been in the space for a while, and I'm sure you've seen changes over time. How do you see the SDR role evolving, or do you think it kind of will stay the same over the course of the next year or two?
It won't stay. I mean, it's a funny one because when I joined back in like 2016, it was very multi-channeling wasn't really a thing. It was you called. That was you sent out a few emails, but like social selling hadn't really taken off yet. It was um, but over the next couple of years, as I was there, it became like any excuse not to pick up the phone. It was like I'm really good at email, or I'm awesome at social. I'm sending vidyards to everyone. So it's any reason not to pick up the phone. I think that's kind of bent back around, not as extreme. Multi-channeling is like the most important part. It's like it doesn't matter if you're most comfortable on the phone or if you write the best email. If your prospect doesn't answer the phone, or like I never check my email. I'm really bad at checking email. So if you want to get a hold of me and you don't call, you're probably not going to get a hold of me.
Hmm.
It's about doing everything so you can catch the prospect where they are. And I think it's
Yeah.
gone back to, I think it's like the phone has made a big resurgence over the last 18 months. Um, and I think that now as AI is becoming a bigger thing, and we're seeing all these Anthropic companies saying, "Oh, look, we're replace my entire SDR team with one AI agent." Um, but those companies are still hiring SDRs
Yeah,
every
for
year.
SDR,
We,
yeah.
we will be replaced. They're like eventually we will be replaced. It is not a good enough tool to do that yet because so many companies have tried to do it when it hasn't been ready. The customer side is I want to speak to a person. So eventually it'll flip back, but right now it needs to be seen as if your team's not using AI, there's a problem. But
Yeah.
AI is a tool. So things that like we do is like I don't want my team using AI to like craft emails. They can craft a template, but like you need to know how to write an email. You need to know how to put like you having a tool shouldn't replace knowing how to do the job. So that's
Yeah,
the challenge that we're always going to face.
I think so. AI will continue to take over some of the manual work, some of the research, some of the prospecting, some of the writing. I do think the selling human to human will be around for a while because, especially when there are some just very simple sales where salespeople aren't even needed. But as you get into more complex sales, I do feel like there's a lot of judgment and things to take into consideration, and it's not so black and white. I mean, I don't know, seems to be developing pretty quick, but like I just feel like there needs to be a human involved, at least for now, and for the next few years. um, I just see that harder to just fully replace, depending on the company.
I have yet to have a good experience with like an AI SDR. I've had a few of them call me. I've had, the ones that you deal with when you go like even though like the chatbots, some of them are fine. If they're not fine, they're incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's like it's left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths for it as well.
In the SDRs that at your team now, like are they required to multi-channel? Are they spending most of the times on the phones?
Definitely most
How's
time
their
on the
breakdown?
phone.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're an inbound team, so like the MQLs come in and that like their hand rate, like the faster we can get them on the phone, the faster we can push them through. Um, it's not the only channel. Like we do email. We have some reps who reach out over LinkedIn and things like that. But like the phone is definitely our dominant channel. Like the majority of our leads come in through the phone.
So, but it's
Wow.
inbound. So they've filled out a form or something from an event, something like that.
Yeah, so they're like different channels. We have, our high intent ones, which would be like a demo sign up or a trial sign up or something like that. Then you have like your lower level ones. Like they've been on the website quite a bit. They've maybe visited the pricing page or they've requested pricing or things like that. So those are the lower intent ones that we kind of treat more like a cold call. These are the ones that like, hey, we don't call me. Hey, I saw you on our pricing page. It's like I'm gonna go in with a cold conversation. Me knowing the background that there is some level of interest somewhere here.
Yeah, they've done some research. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any outbound, like cold outbound, happening at the team, or is that a different
So
department?
that's the difference. So we have the SDR side that does the inbound, the BR side, and then we have our BDR team that does the outbound.
I see. Gotcha.
And the war continues between both sides. Is this an inbound lead? No, I was reaching out to it 2 months ago. This is an outbound lead. It's like always the back and
Yeah.
forth.
Well, it's nice to have that. A lot of the companies we work with, some are bigger, and so there are times where we'll handle the inbound, but more times than not, we're doing cold outbound, and it's just hard. It's much harder going in cold. You have, you're not a developed brand. People don't know you. Like these are startups, and that's just the reality. Is most companies out there are startups. They're small companies. They're under 50 employees, and no one's heard of you. So it's just a
Yeah.
lot harder to go out and do this type of outbound work. And if you're listening to this and you have inbound leads, consider yourself lucky.
Um, yeah. I would say like most of my career have been in those like smaller, less than 50 to 100 kind of size companies. Clio's the first one that has been like thousands of people here. and I've been with most of my career on the outbound side. And it used to be like my mindset was very much, like outbound is sales, inbound is like order taking. That was the kind of side. And I will say it was a change to see it because like you could have someone, the hottest lead come in, they sign up for a demo or sign up for a trial, and they still don't want to speak to you. They still don't want to do anything. So it became a thing of if I told you you have to book one inbound meeting or one outbound meeting, obviously the inbound meeting is going to be the easier one to get. But then when you think about like what quotas would be, so like an outbound quota might be 10 ops for the month, where the inbound team is probably looking at like 70. So it becomes, yes, booking one is easier. Can you do it 10 times
Yeah.
as much? So it just did a different set of skills required for it.
And last question for me before we wrap up is, looking back on your career, what are some of the things or what's one or two things you wish you had done sooner or started sooner?
I wish I gave a shit more earlier. I think that was that's the key side of it. I was a late starter. I was probably like 28 before I started going, okay, I can do something here. Um, I think like if I had thought about what a career would look like, what a career here could look like, instead of just like, hey, this is a bit of fun and a bit of money, I would have gotten better a lot faster. Um, and then who knows where we could be now. But I think I'd also advise for anyone coming in is like right now the market is tough. So kind of any port in a storm looks appealing. You are going to have hundreds and if not thousands of conversations over the time. You need to sell something that you have at least an interest in. Um, I went to a fintech company because the paycheck was really big, and then I realized I hate talking finance, and it was that was the
Yeah.
most torturous job that I've ever had. Well, best paid, but I hated it every single day.
Yeah.
So like, there's tech is broken up into a million different subcategories. Pick a category that you do not mind to talking about because that's going to be your job.
Yeah. Um, well, Matt, thanks for coming on. You mentioned you're pretty active on LinkedIn. Is that the best place for people to find you if they want to reach out, they have questions?
Yeah,
How do
yeah,
people get in
that's
touch?
yeah, the LinkedIn is probably the best place. You'll find it doesn't look like this, it's a Simpsons face on it. And my number's all over there as well, and I'm pretty good at answering the phone, so don't hesitate to give me a call.
Well, thanks for coming on, Matt, sharing some knowledge about SDRs and SDR management. Appreciate it. And until next time.
Thanks, John.